8 to 9 p.m. here on WeFM 99.9. Your health matters. Ask Dr. Thompson any burning question you have related to health. Your health matters. Dr. Thompson will examine healthcare, highlight important environmental issues, and look at what's hot in science and technology and the next wave of emerging diseases and health trends. So this and every Wednesday, join us 8 to 9 p.m. here on BFM 99.9 because your health matters.
People's Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical, skin, and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
Yes, good evening. Sorry I'm a little late. I was at a book launch for Dr. Richard Byron Cox. And, it was just I had to ask a question right at the time that that I was about to leave. And so I had to squeeze that question in, and kind of made me just a little late for this program. My apologies. But season's greetings. Merry Christmas. And every Christmas time, I always do a little feature on a very important subject, that of alcohol. Now, I don't want to be a donger. Because this is definitely the Christmas season, and everybody is looking to really be joyful and merry, and you know what we do. As a matter of fact, I wonder if people drink more alcohol at Christmas time than at Carnival. What do you think? You think Carnival? Well, I want to talk about alcohol for a number of reasons. There's a lot of information be coming out of alcohol. But let me start off by saying that studies have linked light to moderate drinking to a number of good things, such as cardiovascular disease, reduce risk of cardiovascular disease. We know already wine, red wine in particular, has in a particular substance called resveratrol that helps to reduce your cholesterol and does some really good things. We also know that alcohol as a means of facilitating social interaction, it's not bad, I remember when I was a teenager in my early 20s going to parties in England, and you're on one side of the room and there's a girl on the other side of the room and you want to go and ask her for a dance. And the only way you're going to do that is to take a drink first, loosen you up a little bit, and you go and ask her for the drink. And the important thing about the alcohol there is that if she says no, you still don't have a problem. You know what I mean? The alcohol kind of dulls that failure aspect a little bit, and so. And there are a number of other things that have a Harvard article cited low to moderate amounts of alcohol raises the level of, you know that? You heard of that? Your HDL, your good cholesterol, and these are some interesting things. However, that's not why I'm introducing the topic today. That there are a number of people who will suffer from two things: alcohol intoxication and the chronic heavy use of alcohol over the years. I want to talk briefly about one, but mainly concentration about the heavy use of alcohol. Because alcohol intoxication can present in different forms, depending on the amount of alcohol you take. In other words, if you take a cork full of strong rum, it's not going to do that much to you. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're holding a bottle to your head and somebody's daring you to drink it down, that can lead to alcohol intoxication, alcohol toxicity. And of course, not just the amount of alcohol, but the rate at which you consume. So if you have a lot of alcohol in a glass and you take a sip, another hour later you take another sip, another hour later you take another sip, then you've taken 3 sips. Let's say you finish a glass over a period of 5 hours. Whereas that glass of alcohol, if you take it down in a few seconds, under a minute, it's the same amount of alcohol, but the rate at which you've taken it is really important, you know? And then your body weight. Do you know that if you have a very small size, or you are a big guy, your ability to tolerate alcohol is different, you know? So that a small person, a child, cannot tolerate the same amount of alcohol as a man who's weighing 300 pounds and 7 feet tall. Gender. Men are able to tolerate alcohol a little bit more than women. And we also have to look at whether the stomach is full or empty. If you take alcohol on an empty stomach, then that's one thing. If you take on a full stomach, then what happens is the food in your stomach reduces the absorption of that alcohol. The food, depending on the type of food and so forth, too, could actually help reduce the amount of alcohol getting to your stomach. Now, when the alcohol does get into your system, into your stomach, it's absorbed. It gets into a certain type of part of your blood. It goes through your liver, and then your liver tries to deal with it. Your liver tries to deal with it, to break it down. The liver has certain enzymes, and so to break down the alcohol. And then the alcohol, but some alcohol is still going to get into the rest of your blood system, reach your brain, and it's going to enter into your brain and cause certain effects. So your liver is like an important filter to prevent a whole big surge of alcohol. Remember what I said? If somebody is taking a sip of alcohol in 1 hour, and next hour they take another sip, another hour take another sip, and over 5 hours they've taken a sip of the alcohol, as opposed to holding it to their head and they are chucking it down, you are emptying that alcohol into your stomach. It's being absorbed from your stomach, irrespective of whether your stomach is full, has food in it, or empty. Your liver is just inundated. Your liver can't handle it. Your liver can't deal with the alcohol. And so a lot of it gets into your bloodstream, goes to your brain, and you can have some serious effect. Now, that is alcohol intoxication, drinking alcohol too fast, too much at one time, being a small size person, not having any stuff in your stomach, and so. What about the people who have been drinking alcohol every day? Moderate amounts, but every day, moderate to significant amounts every day, morning, evening, what we call chronic alcohol use. And we found that a new report from the World Health Organization, the WHO, highlights that 2.6 million people die each year related to alcohol. 2.6 million people die as a result of alcohol consumption. And this accounts for 4.7%, almost 5% of the global deaths. 5% of the deaths in the world is due to alcohol. Now, I will tell you, only 0.6 million people are due to drugs, fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, all that kind of thing. And so it's important that to know that almost 2 million of alcoholics, right? And 4 million of drug-attributed deaths were among men. 2 million alcoholic deaths were among men. That's fascinating. Now, WHO also states, the report on alcohol and health and the treatment on substance use, that the report shows an estimated 400 million people live with alcohol use disorder globally. 400 million, in other words, almost 500 million people live with alcohol use disorder. Remember, there are 8+ billion people in the world. And if there's 400 million, almost 500 million or 500 million people, it's really saying that a ton load of people, almost 5% of people, have alcohol use disorder. As a ton load of people. And of this 400 million, 209 million people, 209 million of these 400 million live with alcohol dependence. Well, let me just put it clearly. There is something called alcohol use disorder. In other words, when you take the alcohol, it makes you do stupid things, make you say things, and so forth. You're not a person who should take alcohol. You know, boy, I better stay away from this because it's giving me alcohol use disorder. I have alcohol use disorder. If I take alcohol, I do stupidness. I fall down. I get drunk. I say stupidness. I misbehave. I embarrass myself. I embarrass my wife, husband. I embarrass my kids. I lose my job. I have alcohol use disorder. All right? But almost half of those people are actually addicted to the alcohol. They have to have the alcohol. They can't stay away from it. They can't say, well, no, this is going to hurt my family, and so forth. They might say so, but they're dependent on the alcohol. In other words, they need the alcohol to actually function. They need the alcohol to put a smile on their face. They need the alcohol for some reason or the other. They're dependent on it. These are some big numbers. So substance use severely harms individuals' health. Let me put it that way. And alcohol is the biggest substance use ever. Alcohol is greater than tobacco. Alcohol use is greater than tobacco, drugs, and other illnesses combined. alcohol as a besides sugar, maybe, but diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and so forth. But boy, alcohol is big. Now, okay, sorry, I apologize. At Christmas time, I'm a spoiler. Everybody has their this. I was just hearing about black cake, and black cake has like 2 bottles of wine in it, plus a host of the strong rum and so. And guess what? I love black cake. I'll be honest with you. I love black cake. But hear what? I don't have alcohol use disorder, and I don't have alcohol dependency. I am not making the case that you must stop alcohol altogether. I am telling you that alcohol intoxication, where the bottles go into your head and you're guzzling it down, and it's hitting your liver, it's being absorbed and hitting your liver and then your brain too quickly, too rapidly. You know what I mean? And chronic alcohol use, where your car stop. You have an alcohol use disorder and your car stop because you're also in a state where you're dependent. These are big numbers. I didn't even realize that 5% of all the deaths in the world is from alcohol. And the deaths from drugs, overdose, and all that kind of thing is just 0.6 million. I'm talking about less than 0.5%. Alcohol kills more people than all other drugs combined. I said that before. Alcohol is the 3rd leading cause of preventable disease. And I want to say alcohol is 3 times as harmful as cocaine or tobacco. These are some hardcore top discussions coming from the World Health Organization. Now, according to a study done in 2010 by a group of British scientists, alcohol was rated the most harmful drug overall, and almost 3 times as harmful as these other things I've been telling you about. Oh my God. Like my battery is going. But what are the 3 most negative effects of alcohol on our body? Do you know alcohol is linked to high blood pressure? It's linked to heart disease, linked to liver disease, linked to stroke, it's linked to alcohol use disorder, digestive problems, to a weakened immune system. We're going to take a break. I'll come back and we're going to talk a little bit more.
People's Pharmacy, for all your pharmaceutical, skin and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in Kingstown. They open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Call them today at 784-456-1170. People's Pharmacy also stock vitamins and supplements, personal care items, toiletries, children and adult pampers, and much, much more. And of course, get your prescriptions filled by a friendly and professional pharmacist. People's Pharmacy. Come in today and let us serve you.
Well, would you believe that the notes I was taking from the computer's gone, the batteries want to go down on top of me, but luckily I had a backup. I could go my cell phone, I gotta go with another laptop, so I'm all right. So I'm back up and running. Now, I was saying to you that we now know that alcohol is, and chronic excessive alcohol is linked to high blood pressure. people who drink a lot of strong rum and alcohol, whether it's not strong rum, they say, I don't drink strong rum. I drink Johnny Walker Black. I drink high level or high, what's it called it? Top shelf and so forth. Let me tell you something. All these things, chronic drinkers have high blood pressure. The second thing is they have heart disease. It's linked to heart disease. It's linked to liver disease. Let me tell you about liver disease. Remember I said, when you drink alcohol, the alcohol goes down into your stomach. Some of the alcohol is actually absorbed in your mouth and a little bit absorbed in your stomach, but most of it, when it reaches your stomach, depending on your food and so, it could slow down the absorption. But still, as the alcohol goes into your intestine, it's going to be absorbed. And where does it go? To your liver. It goes to your liver before it gets fully into your blood. And your liver cells, having certain substances, enzymes to break down the alcohol, to take the edge off the alcohol. But the alcohol, if it is just too much, it stuns the liver cells. It hits them so hard that, the liver cells will be saying, but I'm here to help you. But the alcohol is saying, well, I don't care. You know what I mean? And it stuns the liver cells. Now, if the person is continually drinking alcohol and you keep on stunning the same liver cells, well, hear what? The liver cells have the ability to replenish themselves, to regenerate. Isn't that good? The liver can regenerate. But come on, if you continue drinking, the old, and the regenerated cells can't handle the load, can't handle the alcohol. They get stunned too. The cells that are regenerating and trying to bounce back can't handle the ongoing amount of alcohol that's coming into the liver through the stomach. Well, here what happened. Some of the functions of the liver start to malfunction. The liver has the ability to convert the alcohol into some substances that could be easily handled. But when there's a ton of alcohol, that stuff starts to turn into some fatty substances. And the liver starts to get fat. You get alcoholic fatty liver. Alcoholic fatty liver. A lot of the guys you see in rum shops earlier in their life, they were developing alcoholic fatty liver. But guess what? That didn't bother them. They continued drinking. So these liver cells that are stunned, that are, stunned, being hit, slapped around by the alcohol, chemical, just hitting them all the time. I said some of them are regenerated, some of the liver cells are regenerated, but some of them just can't handle it. And they start producing these fatty liver. And after a while, they start to give up. They start to die. And when they start to die, the liver cells, they're replaced by scar tissue, fibrous tissue. And that fibrous tissue, that liver eventually develops what's called cirrhosis of the liver. Kamal, have you heard of that before? Cirrhosis of the liver. Oh, cirrhosis of the liver doesn't develop overnight. You don't just drink alcohol, you get cirrhosis of the liver. No. The alcohol pushes the liver first of all, into non-alcoholic fatty liver. And then after a while, the liver cells that are trying to bounce back can't bounce back. And eventually they start to die, scar over, and start to develop cirrhosis of the liver. And when cirrhosis of the liver is of very little use. The ability, the functions, the many, many functions, wonderful functions that the liver has of cleaning the body, getting toxins out, dealing with stuff that shouldn't get into the body. The liver can't do its job anymore. People with liver disease due to alcohol die. They die. Ammonia start to build up in their body. The liver is an important organ to get rid of the ammonia that builds up in your body. It gets rid of it. But when the liver is going through malfunctions and cirrhosis and scarring, it can't do that anymore, and the ammonia builds up. That's when the ammonia, when it starts to affect the brain, that's when people start to see little men. That's when people start to see little men. You start having delusions, psychosis, all sorts of things. Now, besides the liver, alcohol can significantly attack the brain. It causes shrinkage of the brain. It destroys, if it can destroy liver cells, what do you think it does to brain cells? What do you think? You think brain cells could handle alcohol like liver cells can? Liver cells are made to be able to handle alcohol. When liver cells can't handle the alcohol, you think the brain could handle it? The brain starts to get demented. And you've heard of Alzheimer's disease. Well, I tell you, maybe a bigger cause of dementia is alcohol-related dementia. You know what I mean? Alcohol-related dementia. Now, this doesn't mean that at night you can't have a nightcap to help you to go to sleep. Doesn't mean that you can't have a beer with a friend. But if you are chucking down a case of beer a day, if you're chucking down a couple of bottles of vodka, a half a bottle of strong rum, a quart of strong rum every day, you're in some big trouble. And not only are you going to have dementia, but you're at high risk of strokes, right? And don't talk about the digestive system. Do you know people who drink a lot of alcohol typically do not eat properly? They start having vitamin deficiency, B12, vitamin C, vitamin D deficiency, all these different kind of things. And they start having problems with their digestive tract. But one of the big things for alcohol is the impact on certain organs. Now, alcohol causes the pancreas to produce toxic substances that can effectively lead to inflammation of the pancreas called pancreatitis. It's a dangerous inflammation of the pancreas. Alcohol can affect other body parts, and there's a whole set of different things. I mean, the way alcohol affects your sexual function, affects your skin, affects your host of parts of the body. I'm not going into that today. But let me just go through this again. That alcohol, first of all, the stages of alcohol causing problems in the liver. You start having this alcohol fatty liver. This stage begins with the buildup of fat in the liver. It can happen if one alcohol intake is too high, or if it is over many days, if it's chronic. Stage 2 is where people typically discover their liver damage over a period of time, And stage 3 is cirrhosis of the liver. Now, So liver damage is really a critical thing, and I've been pointing it out. Now, what I want to really get at with you today is that you have to reduce your alcohol intake. The harmful use of alcohol, I've said, comes in different forms. The frequency, how often you're taking it, and the quantity that you're taking. Also, in relation to who you are, whether you're a woman or a man or a young person or a small person, this also affects things. Now, in terms of what you need to do, sadly, in St. Vincent, we don't have many agencies, like voluntary agencies like Alcoholics Anonymous and so, to help. Truthfully, I don't know if there are any here. There may be, because they're Alcoholics Anonymous, so they may exist, but I may not know about them, you know? And that's one of the great things about alcoholism, that if everybody knows your business and so, then it doesn't help. It doesn't inspire you to really get help. But in the Alcoholics Anonymous sessions, they expect you to come out and say, I am an alcoholic, and I want to do something about it. Now, because a large portion of people who are alcoholics are dependent on the alcohol, they go through a lifelong session. They go through a lifelong period of having to avoid alcohol. It's not a situation whereby you go to a session and then you're free and therefore you'll be all right. You're going to be tempted. Friends are going to come into your life and suggest you have one. And other people at different times, a celebration of a birth of a child or some victory of a team, are going to pull out alcohol and say, have one with us to celebrate. You, if you are a person who's dependent on alcohol, remember I said there are 400 million people who have alcohol use disorder. They have bad effects of alcohol. But there's almost 200 million who are dependent on the alcohol. These are the real alcoholics, you know? And there's a way in which we know persons can be alcoholic. You wake up on mornings and you're thinking about getting a drink. That may be a criteria. You have a bottle that you had hidden away under your bed, under your pillow, nobody knows. That's an indication. But certainly, you know, the way in which we judge and we label people as alcoholics, that's not the material thing. It's the fact that if you are, that you're willing to do something about it, and that you're able to overcome the challenges of overcoming it. Because it's tough. It's tough. It's going to be tough. There's going to be so many ways in which you can backslide, that you can regress back into going back into alcoholism. And when you do, you will sink deep into it. Now, alcohol, I say, can be an intoxicant. It can cause cirrhosis of the liver and all these diseases. But you notice something addition. A lot of people They may just have one drink and their blood alcohol level is high, and they decide they're going to drive a car, ride a bike, or they decide they're going to walk along a busy street, or if you're in America and so take a train and you're on the train line. You know the amount of alcoholics who've fallen onto the train lines? The amount of alcoholic who are riding a bike and they think they're okay. And they don't realize that their alcohol level is up to a certain amount. But they can find themselves running off the road. Or you could be a perfectly normal driver and someone who is alcoholic, they run off the road. Or if they don't run off the road, sometimes it may be a good thing if they run off the road, they run into you. And they can cause severe situations. And road accidents and so a serious, serious problem today as a result of alcohol. A result of many drugs, but alcohol is the big one I've been pointing out to you. This Christmas time, I am sure, as always, every Christmas time, whether here or in America, or in Canada, in England, we typically may have some deaths as a result of alcohol. Is that a straight call? Or it's outside? Yes. Well, there's somebody asking a question, so let's take the question. And then, good night, Kamal and Dr. Thompson. If you're taking gabapentin, mouse supply, how much days before you drink alcohol? Oh boy. That's a tough question. I don't know. You know, but I'll tell you something. There are lots of medications that you should not be taking alcohol with. You know, there's a lot of medication you should not be taking alcohol with. And the alcohol not only affects your liver, remember your liver, a lot of medications are dealt with through your liver as well. Your liver is the means of detoxifying your body so that when the drug you've taken works or has its effect, your liver is one of those organs in your body that clears it out. So that when you take your next dose, you're able to know you could take one tablet in the morning and your level's going to be all right because your liver has cleared out the old stuff, swept it out, cleaned it out. Now, it is said you can drink alcohol with gabapentin, but it may make you feel sleepy and tired. So, you know, during the first few days of taking gabapentin, it might be best to stop drinking alcohol until you see how the medication affects you. How the medication affects you. Because remember, you know, depending if you're a small person or you're a big person, if you're a woman or you're a man, if you basically have a full stomach, all these sort of things affect the situation. So it's very difficult to say. But the important thing is that with most medication, you should not be drinking alcohol at all. You should antibiotics, don't be drinking alcohol. A whole ton of medication. If you take the alcohol, it sometimes will make the medication ain't working. When you think the medication is working, it ain't working, you know? But in relation to a drug called gabapentin, I'm not getting into detail what gabapentin, but gabapentin, essentially, you should hold off on the alcohol for at least a few days to see how it works, but you can reintroduce a small dose of alcohol if you so necessarily need to take it to the celebration. It's not gonna cause a major problem having the alcohol and the gabapentin, but it's good to know what effect the alcohol has on your body first. So stay away from what effect the gabapentin has on your body. So stay away from the alcohol. And so taking both may make you a little drowsy and sleepy and so forth and things like that, you know. Now, I don't think that most people realize how much alcohol is consumed around the world. There's some countries in this world that have virtually 20% of their population as alcoholics. Belarus, which is right next to Russia, above Ukraine, serious problems up there. You know, serious problem. There are a number of other countries like that. There are communities within countries. Some countries, there are not a lot of people drinking, but there are cities and communities and villages in those countries where there's high amounts of alcohol consumption. I have a view that here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, alcohol consumption is high. It's high. I think it's too high. I'm sorry, High Roon, sorry, Sunset, sorry, Captain Bligh and so forth. I hope I'm not damaging sales. I'm not going to make those companies bankrupt. But the point about it is that there are too many people who are being affected by this. And Christmas time, if Kamal is right and more alcohol is drunk at Carnival and Christmas time, yeah, okay, it may not be a big deal. But boy, it's still too much, far too much. And for you, listener, it may be something that's affecting you. I started off by saying that in a number of countries, like Belarus and so those countries, do you know that alcohol robs many people of 30 years of their life? People die young. The fastest growing period of death is the 29 to 39-year-olds. Younger people are becoming more and more alcoholic, whether it's for whatever reason. But you should look in the mirror, the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, and take charge of this. If there's someone else in the mirror, such as your wife or your husband or whatever, who could also impress upon you, that second person in the mirror, I want you to take charge. Let's take a call, this last call. Hello, good evening.
Good afternoon, Lisa. It seems like I'm too late, actually, right? It's because it's now.
We're squeezing the question. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask about, because the Alcohol Anonymous, they perceive alcohol as a disease.
Yes.
So as a disease, it can never be cured.
Yes.
But I was wondering about the social aspect of it. And I think you were focusing on that in terms of, especially the Christmas time.
Yes. It's okay to use it to socialize. You may socialize with it, but it's not causing you to be an alcoholic by definition or to be dependent on it. And if you socialize, you should not intoxicate yourself so you get into a road accident or knock down somebody or whatever the case might be. So it's the extent in which you're going. The drinking of alcohol doesn't mean that you're alcoholic or that you have an alcohol use disorder or you're dependent on it. But if you are dependent on it and you are alcoholic, you will know, and other people will know, and intervention is then needed, and something needs to be done very early about it. You know. Well,
Right.
I tell you,
I think the education is good.
thank you very much. Well, you know, we should do a program together. What do you say? Huh?
I think so. I was trying to do that, but I think it's important to do that because I think in the smaller islands,
Yes.
I think because of the stigma
Yes.
of it being a disease, I think people are shying away from it. But it would be nice if they could start a group there to really help those people who are struggling with it. But I think with the holiday, and I think with this program, I think you should repeat it again because I think
okay.
there's going to be a lot of excess.
Well, anyway, you're coming on next, so
I know.
we have to get it together sometime, and then maybe
Yeah,
do
we
something
can. We can.
on a topic or whatever the case may be to really help
Right.
us from the spiritual aspect as well as the health aspect. I think we could probably do some synergy there.
Exactly, because I was thinking about the Bible and how confused we are spiritually about the use of alcohol.
Well,
So,
I tell you,
it'd be interesting.
you're right. People say, Jesus made wine, and he made wine. So we should, and then run out of wine. So he made it plentiful. So,
But we'll catch up again, okay?
Thank you very
And
much.
then
All the
we'll organize
best.
something.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me close down. Thank you. That was Dr. Claudius. And listen, do have a Merry Christmas in moderation, please. And be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bid you a very pleasant good evening and good night and a Merry, Merry Christmas to you.
People's Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical, skin, and body care needs. Located on Grenville Street in